Mhm.
Nanni? Nanni?
Dov, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah. And you?
Okay, yeah, I can hear you. There was something wrong on my end. Okay.
Okay. It's okay.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Let's move. All right, so a little bit of a technical delay, but we're back on again. Just let me know that everything is going through to the feed. Hopefully everything will go through to the feed. Sometimes you get a technical problem. This is the first one, but let's just see if it's going through. Anyway, how are you?
Fine, thanks. And you?
And thank you. Can I ask you to just move back a little bit from the camera?
Okay.
The whole thing, because we can't really see, only your glasses here.
Okay.
Right.
Is it okay for you?
Yeah, that's better. That's better. Now, I'm just checking something because I'm seeing that for some reason we're not getting a feed. I don't know what's happened today, so let me just check it out. Everything has been wonderful up until now, and now we have a little bit of a technical problem. So these things happen. Just got to see what the problem is. Not quite sure, actually. Okay. All right. So let's just see if anything's coming in, because it's not coming into my feed. I don't want us to lose that. So hold on. Goodness, what's happening here? Bear with me a minute.
Okay.
I think we're back on again. So just let me just see. I think we're back on again. Okay, everybody, if you can hear and sound and sight, just give us a thumbs up or something in the comments, because we've had a little technical error, but we'll make up for that. Don't worry. Just want to make sure that you're getting the feed. Okay. So just give us 1 minute, just because there's a bit of delay between our talking and it going through to Facebook.
Yeah.
Well, just let's give it a minute just so we can see that there's actually a feed going. It should be okay. But now what will happen is, I'll just explain to you at the time. We are live, so people will hear us. But I'm going to just, welcome you to the show. And then I'm going to ask you to say a few words of introduction yourself. It's very informal. And
Yeah.
the idea really is that we bring some of your wisdom and some of your knowledge to help the people that are watching. Okay.
Okay.
There's something special about you, apart from the fact that you're an amazing personality, of course. And, but what's really special is that you are in Italy, right?
Yeah.
I think that is really significant at this time, just to tell us what's going on with you guys over there. So it looks like we're on board and we're ready. So, and 1 second, I'm going to start, and then we'll get moving from there. Is that okay with you, Nanni?
Okay, everything is fine right now.
One other thing I want to tell you is I only see you when you make a noise or talk. So if you do silent nods, I won't actually know that you're doing that. So if you want to,
Okay,
you have to actually speak. All right.
okay, perfect.
So here we go. So hello everybody, and good evening, and welcome to the virtual conference live talks with myself, Dov Benyaacov-Kurtzman. And once again, without fail, we have a magnificent guest on the show tonight. And there's a number of special things about this man. First of all, from a personality point of view, he is amazing, friendly, joyful, just a pleasure to be around. We met in person 3 years ago in Spain, and it's never gone. And we actually met before that, I think, in Edinburgh, and then we met in Spain. So for about 4 years now, we've known each other and met each other a couple of times, and it has stuck with me. So that's the kind of personality I'm talking about. And his academic knowledge and wisdom, I'm going to let him introduce himself, because I couldn't do him justice, just to let us know exactly what he's all about, what his career is all about. I know that he is well up in the ranks in the ACBS community, and an amazing researcher, therapist, whatever you want to call it, within all that community. But there's not just these kind of people watching us tonight. There's from all over. There's general public, there's professionals, the therapists, something for everybody tonight. And what brings everything in common tonight is the fact that we're all going through this crisis together in the world. But this brings me to the third thing that's very special about Nanni, and that is that he is Italian and he is in Italy at the moment, which is quite an epicenter of everything that's going on here. So we actually look to Italy to find out what might be happening to us in the rest of the world. So without further ado, this is not about me, this is about Nanni and what he can give over to all of us watching. Just before I introduce him, I'm going to say again to everybody watching on Facebook Live, if you want to ask him anything, you put it in the comments. If you want to comment anything, you put it in the comments. Please share this right now. Like it, lots of hearts and like signs, and do a watch party with the groups that you're in, and let's share this, because there's things of value that are going to happen tonight. It's worthwhile tuning in. Enough of me. Over to you, Nanni Presti.
Thank you, Dov, very much. I'm really honored to be here on your show, if we can call it a show or a virtual conference. You asked me about my academic background. I have a degree in medicine. I am actually a physician, and with a specialization in clinical psychology. My main interest is in behavior analysis and contextual behavioral psychology. And I do research and work in a very small university in the middle of Sicily. It's called Core, it's in Enna, it's a town in the middle of Sicily. So I'm right in the middle of the Mediterranean area. And I have interest in language, in cognition, and the other main interest is in autism. And today, it's the 2nd of April, and it's the World Awareness Day for Autism. This is the reason why I have this blue sweater on me, just to remember people that it's not just the COVID emergency, but there are also special individuals that we have to take care also in this kind of emergency. So thank you very much for bringing me to this place today.
Wow. Okay. So I didn't realize that you were also a physician, and that's thank you for telling me that. And also you deal with autistic kids, so that's or people generally, and that is very, very interesting. I know that you were, or I read somewhere that you also used to work with obesity. Is that right? You did some work with that?
Yeah, I worked and we are still working with obese people, but more on a prevention side, especially with kids. So we have made research to foster good practice in eating vegetables and fruits at the elementary school level in kids.
Right. So, wow. So that's interesting. And what is your connection, just in 1 minute, basically, before we get into what we're actually here for, with the acceptance and commitment therapy?
Well, it's a long history going back to the mid 80s when I was very, very young. I met a lot of behavioral analysts during my studies. And I have a good friendship with Stephen Hayes, who is the founder and main researcher in acceptance and commitment therapy. And I have always studied psychotherapy. And from that moment on, I have deepened into ACT, relational frame theory. I was doing research in equivalence classes when I was a young student and during my years of specialization school. So this is my history and background, and this is why I have also been honored to be the president of ICBS.
Wonderful. Okay, so thank you very much for that. We're going to, this is an informal conversation. That was the formalities. It was,
yes.
It was really important. Let's move that over. I want to tell you that there's a few people coming in now. So there's Naftali coming in. There's Amy Murrell. You know Amy Murrell?
Yes, of course. She was on the board with me during my presidencies and earlier during my work on the board. It's a good friend of mine. And hello, Amy.
All right, wonderful. So she's on, Anna's on, and there's a few other people that are coming on now. And so again, I say to them, share this, like it, comment. If you have any questions while Nanni's talking, then write them in and I'll get them over to you. Okay, Nanni, let's get real. You're in Italy.
Yeah.
One of the epicenters of this horrible crisis that we're going through in the world. First of all, let me ask you, how are you right this moment? What's going on in your life right now?
Well, the situation in Italy is almost well known all over the world. Italy is divided in two parts. There are a very, very bad situation on the northern part of Italy, in the area around Milan, which is one of the main cities that is well known all over the world. I am actually in Sicily. I'm right now in Sicily. So it's a relatively calm area, but in my area, for example, numbers are increasing. Catania, for example, it's the highest, it's the town, Catania is 18 kilometers from me right now. And it's the town where there is the highest number of positive diagnosed people in Sicily. So we are a relatively calm area compared to the numbers of northern Italy, but still we are not safe, and there is obviously danger of being in contact with the virus.
And how do you personally at the moment, you know, being in Italy as well, which must be quite frightening, I would imagine. It's frightening, I know, outside of Italy, but certainly in Italy. Even though you're in the south, how do you personally manage this situation?
Well, it's not an easy situation, Dov, to tell the truth, because all of us, it's not about me, but also about the people that I know and the people that are living in other parts of Italy. And maybe I'll tell you later about my experience with doctors of a main hospital in Milan that we are trying to assist remotely. But it's a very awkward experience, something that you have never been inside. I mean, I have been trained in medicine, so we know about emergencies, we know about things that frighten people, but this is such an invisible danger and that all things that you know are, you are placed in a territory of absolute uncertainty, where you fear and you're afraid that your beloved one could get infected and could probably die. Actually, and now I am in my parents' home. My parents are very old, and so the person that was looking after her couldn't come in this situation. So I went back home and staying with my parents. So I have this kind of feeling that there is a danger outside. And my cousin, for example, in northern Italy, have been infected and quarantined at home. Luckily, they have overcome the infection, but everyone that I speak with has at least one relative or one friend who is ill or has died. So there is this sense of danger and of contamination from a very invisible enemy that we are facing.
I'm going to take advantage, I didn't plan this, but I'm going to take advantage of the fact that you also have a medical background, you're a physician as well as a behavioral scientist. But I'm going to ask you this because I hear it all the time, and that is what people have been dying before, there's been infections before, there's been viruses before, it's not something new to the human race. Thousands and thousands of people die every year from influenza. Maybe you could give an insight into what is so, apart from the fact that this is a new virus, what is it that's so special about this virus that we had to quarantine ourselves around the world, shutting down everything? I mean, Italy, as an example, but there's other countries, has never seen such a shutdown in the history of Italy. And yet we're talking about a virus, which is something that is known to human beings. What is it that's special about this that warrants this kind of reaction?
Well, if you think, for example, to Ebola virus is more dangerous and more lethal than COVID virus. However, the way it's transmitted, it's completely different, and paradoxically made it more under control. In the ACBS community, for example, there have been people who have worked in that area to change the specific behavior that were linked to the transmission. So for people that don't know how the Ebola virus is transmitted, it is transmitted from the dead body to the living body. And the reason why it was transmitted in that area in Africa, it's because their religious practices were related to taking care of the body for 1 week, kissing the body, and so there was this kind of danger. So once a person was infected, all the village got the virus. So that virus was dangerous and more problematic than COVID, but changing the behavior of the people stopped the infection. This virus is completely different, so it's less lethal, but it can be it can spread more easily because it's spreading like an influenza, a flu virus, but it's more the consequences. It affects. If you look at data, it affects more or less only 10% of people very badly, and the other 80 to 90%, it's more like a bad cough or a bad flu. So this was something that somewhat tricked the people to think that it was not such a virus. But the problem is with those people that are in the range of very, very severe ill people. this range of people, it's around 5%. So if you take the Italian population, for example, which is around 60 million people, and you take a 5% of 60 million people that need hospitalization and treatment in intensive care unit, you get something as 3 million of people, and there are no ways that a nation could take care of 3 million of people at the same time. So what all the strategy is about taking time. All the strategy is about slowing down the infection so that people can be cured, can be treated, and also we can find a solution, a therapy for those who are so ill that they need intensive care unit. So this is the whole strategy behind locking down a country. And it's a very, very high price that we pay emotionally, psychologically, and also economically. But we are paying for the sake of protecting our grandfather, grandmother, but also children, because also children are now dying of the virus, and also young people. So it's a general protection by breaking the transmission, the chain transmission of the virus.
Well, thank you, Nanni. That was a very clear, one of the clearest explanations that I've heard anyway. You kind of covered the whole story there quite quickly, but very, very clearly. Okay, I'm going to just go through. Amy says, so scary to be in your parents' house and not know what might happen. Yeah, I mean, because we know, I don't know if your personal situation, are you allowed to leave the house, or are you also locked down yourself?
I have locked myself down in this last month. So it's now from the 8th of March that I've locked down. So it's 25 days that I'm locked down in my house with my brothers. I cannot see my brothers except for WhatsApp or Zoom, that we are doing video family conferencing. And also people are bringing back grocery and trying to do all the things. And for example, I am afraid of, for example, tomorrow going to the bank, because I really need to go to the bank to solve. It's just a bureaucracy, because bureaucracy was thought was put in place in an age and in a period where you do things in presence. And so we are stuck, for example, in some kind of bureaucracy. So I'm thinking about tomorrow, how I can go to the bank, sign the documents that I have to sign, and get back safely, not for myself, and I am also at risk given the age that I have, but also for my parents, so that I can bring back things home in a way that can be safe for them. So it's scary. Yes, Amy, it's a little bit scary.
So yeah, so you mentioned earlier that we're all going through multiple areas of distress. So there's the health issue for us personally, the health issue for maybe, just as you said, infecting others or being infected by others. There's also the emotional distress that we're going through because of all this. Then we have the distress of not being free, that kind of stress, you know, just being able to go out and do our regular routine or exercise or go to work. Then we have also the distress area of our economy, our personal economies, our business, our jobs, and our country, and I suppose also the world economy. So there's a lot of areas also happening at the same time. So what this virtual conference is really all about is about having a nano workshop, or in your case, a nanny workshop, that would be in a very short time to be able to give over to everybody that's either watching this on Facebook Live or on YouTube or on replay. So it will go on for more than just that we are talking, we'll spread it around. What you could offer us, even something experiential that you can do with us right now, that we can all do along with you, to help us get through this.
Okay. It's really challenging what you're asking me right now. I'll let you know what I am doing and what I can offer to people that are watching this video. First of all, get in touch with your sadness and your anxiety. You will experience, from my point of view, and I'm talking from people who have been touched by this experience before any other, at least in the Western world, in a way we can freely communicate, because we couldn't hear the voices from China. But if you can hear my voice, there is a lot of anxiety, but there is a lot of sadness in this experience. One sadness comes from the fact that people cannot touch each other, and you know how touchy and warm are Italian people.
Yeah.
And so there is a lack of comfort in the way you know it. You cannot go back home and be cuddled or be embraced by your dear people. The other thing that it's very sad in the situation in Italy is, for example, that funerals are prohibited. So you cannot say hello to your dearest person that has died. And sometimes it's also the other way around. There is no way of saying hello to each other. And so there is also this pain in our heart right now. And we are living that pain in first person, not only because someone close by is touched, but because also our friends are touched by this situation. So I would bring you in that place where there is still hope, because you can bring your sorrow with you. One thing that acceptance and commitment taught me is about bringing your pain with you, bringing your emotions with you, bringing your anxiety with you. You are rich in that emotion and that anxiety. You are. There is something that anxiety tells you and that sadness tells you about the people you love, the things that you care about, the things that you value in your life. So if we can touch, I think of it as something like a very muddy pot, something that it's really you don't like to touch, but it's hot, that burns you, and you don't like to touch. But in that part, if you are able to get inside that part, there is a lot to be happy with. There are emotions to be happy with. There are things that enrich you in your life. And so what I'm trying to cultivate right now is this. I do a lot of things. I get in touch with people. I get in touch with you. I know that it's not easy to speak in this way because there are people that are watching me or will watch me later, but that I don't have the possibility to relate in real time. But I know that I can relate them because you are talking about them, the people that are online right now. And I know that something can pass there. And I know that we have a choice. We can choose what we want to be at any time, at any moment. Even in the worst situation, the real freedom that you have is that you can choose what you want to be. The virus can tell you everything. The system, the economic system can collapse, and still you can choose what you want to be in that moment. So this is the way I'm acting right now, to choose what I want to be. The person that you described, I try to get that person very often. And for example, what I did is that I am in my room when I was adolescent and the very beginning of the university age. So I went back to my life. There is no poster of Bo Derek on the wall, and but still there is there. So what I did was to get in touch with those particular emotions that were my past, and I couldn't imagine being here in the future. So what I took last 2 days or 3 days ago, I took my earbuds, I put on Atom Earth Mother, which is a suite from Pink Floyd, and I watched the Mount Etna that is right outside my window. The thing that I was doing when I was adolescent with the low mood or your first love that was broken. So I went back to that situation. And I should say I cried a lot. And I'm really emotional right now. But these things are important to me. You can get back to the things that are important. And from that perspective, try to live in the world right as it is right now. I don't know how much experiential is this for you, but this is my vision right now.
Are you kidding? That was so experiential. I mean, I'm brought to tears almost. I mean, I can feel the thickness of the emotion. I can feel I'm right with you, right next to you right now. Believe me.
Thank you.
The sadness. Yeah, the sadness and the grief and the loss and the getting in touch with that, like you said, something that is difficult to do, but when it's so thick, I think we really, just like you said, we really need to stop and just touch this. We just have to, there's no getting away from it. And it would only be, I think, disadvantage to us if we were to try to block that out. So I really get what you're saying about just first of all being in touch with that. That's so important, and I feel it from you. I mean, it's actually mirroring inside me, and it brought me to the sadness in my life, and it's really important that I remember that. It's really important that I get in touch with my own distance I am from my elderly mother that I can't see or speak to her at the moment, and my children and my grandchildren, and being on my own here at certain times of the year. So yeah, that sadness. My son told me that he knows so many people in Crown Heights and in the United States that are dying, and it's getting in touch with that, and that's what you brought me to, and I'm sure those other people that are listening to this. But yeah, what I see and what I feel is that hope that's coming out of that you mentioned, that choice of choosing to feel the sadness, to take the anxiety, to take the emotion with us on that journey of hope. And that's amazing. And to choose how you want to be, even in the midst of grief, even in the midst of sadness, even in the midst, like you were saying there, even if there's even if your economy is taken away from you, even if things are taken away from you, you can still choose how you live. It reminds me very much of what Viktor Frankl has said, and he was in the midst of the death camps in the Holocaust, and he still chose to connect with meaning, connect with hope, and said actually that those who did had a much better chance of getting through this, better chance of surviving this, better chance of building a future after this. And that is what I've taken from you right now. And I thank you very much, even though it's a bit difficult for me to actually speak right now, but you've taken me right to the heart of that emotion, that pain, and that hope.
Thank you, Dov. I was just thinking about Viktor Frankl. I have mentioned him many times during this month of staying at home in quarantine, and I was just thinking of his lesson of being able to choose to stay in the worst place in the world where you can do only one thing. Staying with people and staying with them purposely to accompany those people to death.
Yeah.
And he chose it purposely, and he felt free. So what we can do is to choose purposely, to give a meaning to every bits and pieces of our actions. And this is really refreshing.
To choose purposefully. I'm just going to go over now those who are writing into us. So Norman says, although we cannot touch each other physically, but it would be so much more difficult without the video and the conferencing. So we have to have certain gratitude that we have some sort of connection. We can do this now, and we can see our loved ones and be in touch, you said, with your brother and so on. So there's that gratitude coming out of it as well. Amy Murrell says, yes, we can choose every moment what we want to be. And Amy was such an amazing guest of mine because, as you know, she goes through something like this almost every day of her life.
Yeah, I know. She's a hero in my eyes.
A hero in my eyes also. and you're going to get me crying in a minute. I'm going to hang on here. So Norman says, good advice, breathe in the air, don't be afraid to care. I think a reference to your Pink Floyd there, Dark Side.
Yes. Well, Breathe is another album.
Yes, exactly.
It's Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah, Dark Side of the Moon. So Amy says, yes, it reminds me of Viktor Frankl too. And Norman writes in about Viktor Frankl, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given circumstances. So yeah, I think you've touched us that are listening to you exactly what I wanted to be able to offer them. I want people that are tuning into this, that are listening to this, to give them opportunities to speak with somebody like yourself, which some of them might not even have had ever the opportunity to meet you. And I want to bring that to people, and you've not disappointed me in any way, Nanni.
No.
So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much for bringing me here and for allowing me to talk to people that I don't know and I cannot touch in my life, but still, this is a wonderful mean that we can transmit things from one person to another person, and by doing this, we can touch people that also go to next generations. So we live also to touch them. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to be with you and with the people that are watching this video, even after it's finished recorded.
Sorry, thank you. And Miri Moore, just to finish off, says, oh, first of all, Kelly Wilson is here.
And hi, Kelly.
Nanni, my friend, Diana and I are happy just seeing your face and hearing your voice. And Miri Moore says, the freedom to choose gives a sense of meaning. Nanni Presti, I thank you very much for joining me. Take care, be safe, and be healthy.
Thank you very much. See you soon outside this bad storm. See you soon. I want to hug you very, very soon, Dov.
Thank you very much, Nanni. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.